I want to call this January 14th Rules Committee meeting to order. Melvina, will you give invocation, please?
Idadadolista. Erodigalande he, I had see with Gila Cosalane. Niona dejadosta is Gaon Hido has to you dagaha. Nola dogadanta, and he dead, and always stays. Nihu is Gaon Hido has Jugajanad or Jaisa and Halo. Father, we just thank you this morning that you brought us back together again. Lord, I just ask you to be with us and give us wisdom and knowledge, not only just from the wisdom and knowledge from the heart to serve our people and to love one another. Lord, you know the word, Gadugi and love goes together. Without one or the other, Lord, we couldn't be what we have to be. Lord, I just ask you to be with us throughout this meeting. Guide us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Shelley, will you conduct roll call, please?
Absolutely. Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Johnny Kidwell. Sasha Black Fox Qualls. Danny Callison. Julia Coates. Joe Deere. Mike Dobbins. Kevin Easley. Lisa Hall. Daryl Legg. Kendra McGady. Dora Paskowski. Cody Poindexter.
Honey.
Joshua Sam. Melvina Shotpouch. E.O. Smith. Condessa Teehee. We have a quorum.
If you had a chance to look at the minutes from our June 26th meeting, could I have a motion, please? We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, first up in reports, we have from the Marshal Service, Daniel Meade.
CO Council. Right off the bat, I know we're here to speak for go over the five-year plan. I'd like to yield my time right off the bat to Principal Chief Chuck Hoskin.
Thank you, Acting Marshal. Mr. Speaker, if I could just make a few prefatory remarks regarding the five-year strategic plan. As the Council recalls, in December of last year, I asked the Council to make some changes to the Marshall Act. The Council evaluated those proposed changes and enacted those changes. A number of those changes have been important for the last 6 months, and a number of those changes will be important, I think, for the foreseeable future, long after I leave this office. The near-term importance of those changes was it enabled the Office of Principal Chief to name an acting marshal when circumstances would warrant it for a period not to exceed 1 year. Acting Marshal Meade was appointed January the 1st, and so his acting tenure would expire the earlier of the appointment of a regularly appointed marshal or January 1st, 2026. What I asked Acting Marshal Meade to do at the beginning of this year, in fact, the first thing that I asked him to do was to embrace a provision of the changes which called for an annual overall law enforcement strategy, which would be submitted by the acting marshal or marshal on an annual basis and approved by the principal chief and then shared with the public. We had not previously done that, and it seems to me, and I know from feedback from all of you and citizens, that being forthcoming with our plans in the Marshal Service, being a government that discloses those overall plans is important. It helps keep us all accountable. It helps the public understand what we are trying to do. It's one thing to say that we have to rapidly expand our law enforcement programs, our emergency management programs in the post-McGirt era. It's quite another thing to say with more specificity what those plans are. And so this five-year strategic plan is in that spirit. Now, we wouldn't do us a service as leaders if we said this is a five-year plan that is in concrete and is immovable. And for that reason, it's not. It will be pursuant to the law, reviewed every year. It can be changed. It should be changed as conditions change. What I particularly appreciate about this plan for the sake of the public is that they can get a sense of how big our Marshal Service is in terms of the component units. It's not only the Marshal Service that we see in our communities, it's also emergency response, it's also EMS, it's things like juvenile justice. It's a number of different staff member categories and components, so it's important for the public to understand that. It's also important to me as chief, and it has been since I've taken office, but particularly post-McGirt, that we become a marshal service that is more embedded in the communities in a positive way. This idea of community policing, this idea of making sure that we're out there and seen as a force for good, just as we're a force for high-quality professional law enforcement. I'm a layperson, and when it comes to law enforcement, and I'm like a lot of citizens in that I expect in the post-McGirt era that when I call 911, someone will be there, and it may very often be the Marshal Service. And even if I'm not in a crisis situation, if I'm living in a Cherokee Nation community, that I increasingly see the Marshal Service, see the presence of the Marshal Service. That helps, I think, build confidence in the Marshal Service. And so this plan goes to that. Now, that's just not just a sentiment that I have, it's a sentiment that I think everyone on this council, to a person, has expressed to me that they would like to see that more and more. That takes resources. It also takes planning. And what the strategic plan means is that we'll hold ourselves accountable going forward. The Marshal Service will hold itself accountable going forward. This body will hold itself accountable, and then hold me accountable ultimately as the chief executive in terms of proposals and management. And of course, the council has its independent authority in all of those areas. And I think working together with a plan that's public, I think we can make a great deal more progress. Some of the measures of progress that this plan anticipates is something, again, that I've heard from this council. Substations out in the communities. Again, more of a presence of assets and personnel from the Marshal Service out in the communities. We have to do that. We cannot, and no one's advocating that we should be the same law enforcement agency that existed prior to McGirt, that we have to embrace the fact that our law enforcement capabilities have to stretch over 7,000 square miles of the Cherokee Nation Reservation. That takes cooperation with other law enforcement agencies. It takes a commitment of resources, which this council has done every single time. I mean, the enormity of the increase in budgets alone really reflects that this council has said, we're going to meet this moment. And we've done our best with those resources to meet the moment, but I know that we can do better. And I think we can particularly do better making sure that there's more resources out in the communities that you represent, that there's more evidence of the Marshal Service being there. We know that they're there. We know that they're highly professional. We know they work very hard. I think making sure we have a plan, that we set expectations, that we're out in the communities, and we back that plan with the resources that we need within the realities of the budgets that we have to face every year, that I think we can make the kind of progress that the Cherokee people expect, that this council expects, that our deputy chief expects, and that I expect. And I know that Acting Marshal Mead expects. I'm going to turn it back over to him, but since this was the inaugural report or strategic plan, I wanted to give those remarks and express again my appreciation to the council for even putting us in a position to have this sort of report available for the public, and again, to hold ourselves accountable. Mr. Speaker, thank you. I yield it back to the Acting Marshal.
Thank you, Chief.
So I just wanted to say that there's people in this room that's heard me say this once. They haven't heard me say it once. They've heard me say it at least 10 times, is the Cherokee Nation Marshal Service is the best law enforcement agency in Indian country. Whether we be on details out in other reservations or right here, we're the best law enforcement agency. We care about our people. It's not just we're a badge and a gun and you're going to do what I say. We don't just take people to jail. We're here for our people. We're not just here for being cool, running hot, lights and sirens. But when you become the best, when people get to the best, they kind of relax on their laurels. They sit on their hands. They don't strive for more. They're like, I'm great. Okay, cool. And then that's when you stop becoming great. So in this 5-year plan, I feel like I've identified some weaknesses. Maybe not weaknesses, but places that we forgot. Maybe it's not gotten the attention that it needed. The restructuring of the Marshal Service and its special teams in this plan allows for us to not only increase the patrols of safety of the Cherokee citizens in lower and smaller communities, but it helps natives and non-natives live within our reservation boundaries. It also allows us to support our culture and our ways, whether it be having the martial as stomp grounds, go to RTR, do the warrior flight. We're able to do that. I mean, we are the best law enforcement agency in the United States. We're different than a state agency. We're not state agencies. We rely on those cross steps. We rely on them, and I love the fact that we have them. We're ahead of the times on that, and I thank each and every sheriff and every chief of police for that, for being there for the Cherokee Nation as the Cherokee Nation is there for them. But it allows us to be there for our people when we need it, and when they may be understaffed, we're able to fill those holes. So in this 5-year plan, I was able to identify the holes that needed to be fixed, that needed to be filled. In this 5-year plan, I'm able to, I just want to go over, just hit some highlights of it. It is us growing bigger. I did set big, but the realistic goals. Will we hit our goals every year? We're dang sure going to try, because the staff that I have, they are relentless on finding grants, finding different options of things to fund it. We have our leadership, where we're doing launch internal leadership development programs, which some is already stated, it's already in Cherokee Nation, but we're having them do those classes, doing those, and then we're also going to start involving the leaders of different grounds, showing them around, showing them their ways of each stamp grounds, because everybody knows, you guys know, that each grounds has their own ways. We are, in this 5-year plan, I've called for, we got the new building, the new EMS building getting built right now. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be end of the year, beginning of next year. That is going to help make us a one-stop shop. I say that right now I've got marshals and just places of offices of marshal. I got them in Muskogee. I've got them in Keys. I got 2 different places in downtown Tahlequah. I'm trying to get it into a central location where, whether it be a victim or even the suspect is able to come and get a copy of the report, talk to an investigator, check in for whether it be SORNA or their probation, whatever, that they're not having to go all over the place. That's in this plan. We have, like Chief said, we have substations throughout the reservation. We introducing technology like the whip around system, Tyler Tech and Salamander. So those will identify, like Salamander, we're able to use, if FEMA has something that has those regulations in that already built into, where we can check it and what we can do, and if we need to get reimbursed from it, or if they'll cover a cost, we can check into that Salamander. The whip around, it's for vehicles. It's like every time you scan your vehicle, it tells you how many miles are on the tires. That's how accurate it is. The Tyler technology, I can tell if my guy stops at a stop sign in Bayan, if he does a 3-second stop or if he does a rolling stop for 1 second. I'm able to see that, and that's what we're putting into the Marshal Service, not just in the Marshal Service, but the EM. We're able to use those sub-offices for stations, whether setting stations for natural disasters, whether it be tornadoes or floods or whatever. We already have a built-in staging area that would probably be closer than what we have now. That will be, not probably, that they will be closer. It's calling for a swift water team. We had a swift water team many years ago, and it is no longer. I'm calling it back in, staff it with 10 people, 10 marshals that will have swift water training, that will have ropes, the fast boats, everything else like that, because we have low water slabs. We have these rivers that wash out. I mean, the Illinois River, we've got so much water on our reservation, I feel like. Not just the dive team that we have, which our dive team is amazing, top notch, but the swift water team will also accessorize it, help it out in other tool in our toolbox to use. Let's see. I'm cutting these. The technology is also there for, hey, you guys have this. You guys haven't used this. This has been here for 6 years. It's on this grant that's 5 years. In 2 years, you should be able to surplus this out. It will tell us that. All we got to do is plug it, whatever it is, in, and it will tell us what we have. So it not only stops wasteful spending, but it also says, hey, if you guys aren't using this, you guys might want to think about surplusing it out and replacing it with something more that is detailed to your needs. We're addition of 48 marshals, patrol marshals out. That puts 8 marshals per shift. I'm telling you right now, I've been here 18 years, almost 19. I've never had that many patrol marshals out. I'm calling for a total of 30 investigators. We've never had 30 investigators. With us doing 30 investigators, that's able to put 5 on TFOs that is out with the government agencies, whether it be U.S. Marshals Task Force, FBI Task Force. We have ICAC. We have one guy at ICAC right now, and bless his heart, he is a working fool. That would be able to give him another man, because one thing that we fight is burnout. Because we don't see people on their best days. We see people on their worst days. And when we carry that every day of our life, it's not an off-on switch. It's not 5 o'clock, I go home and I get to take it off. I have to wear that. And our ICAC guy right now, he's wearing a lot of stuff, and I need to get him some help. So it's calling for that. That puts with those 5, that puts 22 additional investigators in 14 counties. In our EMS, our emergency management, we're building up our IMT roster. Our IMT, we have 22 on our roster right now. Once we went public with this, we have 100 applicants just for IMT. Are we able to fill all of them? No, we're not able to fill it. But we're able to pick and be like, all right, cool, we got this. Here we go. We have a surplus that we're able to use. The IMT, they're volunteer. Now, they do have to go through the incident critical structure classes, and so that is a requirement of them. But once you're on IMT, you're able to do that. And we'll have a pool of people to go from. And they work hand in hand with Gadugi, the Gadugi Corps, which is doing an amazing job. We have the EMS workforce development recruitment, where every Cherokee, if they want to be in a basic paramedic, a basic, intermediate, or paramedic class, we're able to, we waive the tuition cost for that. So if you have a Cherokee that's within the reservation that's like, man, I want to be an EMS, be an EMT, come to Cherokee Nation. We'll get you all the way through paramedic. Those classes are $5,000, $8,000. Tuition's free. We're waiving that. And then also, that's great, but then we're also, okay, where are we at in our staffing? No, we can't staff you, but here, you know what? We're going to help you find that. Find it within our reservation so you're not moving to a different place, that we're keeping you. We're training you here, keeping you here. That's one thing that we're also doing. Our dispatch with our new EMS center here, we're moving all of our EMS and whether it be our EMS or health EMS ambulances will be dispatched right across the road here, not from downtown. We're bringing them all here. That's one thing, is I want everything centralized so people know where to go, that we're not going all over, that you need a marshal, you need EMS, you need whatever it may be, it's right there at your fingertips. Also, with the justice services in this plan, a lot of it is based for rehab and rehabilitation. And on the wording on this is because that's our justice services is not just about keeping people in jail. It's about bringing them back out to our communities and being productive citizens. They've done their time. They've done their penance. And so what we're trying to do is make them citizens where they're role models. Because it can happen. And so why not do it culturally? Why not do it through our ways? Because our ways have been here since the beginning. Why forget them now? Why get away from them? Bring them back in. That's just a brief overview of my 5-year plan. I know I'm wordy, lengthy, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I am here for it.
Okay, I have a quick question to start it off. Who generated this report?
Me, my senior directors,
Who is that?
Corey Keel, Gary Cunningham, and Tyler Trammell.
And where were these, where'd you get the vision statements? I mean, I assume that you got them from other agencies, and if you like what they said, you adopted their plans. Is that, would be
We've had a
correct?
statement, the Marshal Service has had a statement for years. So if it's the mission statement, we've had the mission statement.
I mean, everything in here. I mean, was generated from other agencies, correct? What their plans are that you like, that they do? Or is this
No,
just,
no.
it's just brand-new stuff just for the Marshal Service?
We take what we have been doing since I've been here, and since the inception of the Marshal Service. There's been stuff that we've used, that we haven't used, that we've had, that we took away, that we brought back. So is there some stuff borrowed from other agencies? Yeah. I can't say no, but I can also say there's a lot of this detailed and directed towards the Marshal Service and Cherokee people to where it made it, yeah. And there's a lot of it that's originally and only to the Marshal Service, yes.
Sure, I'm just asking. It's just curious. Darrell?
You bet. Daniel, appreciate the report. I got a question. Let's say for Drug Task Force, let's say that you pull somebody over and they have a fentanyl and $150,000 cash. Does the marshals have the power to seize the property and the cash and to put that cash into a marshal fund?
Yes.
Like other agencies?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. We used to have a really nice Escalade years
Right.
ago from that.
But would we do like a sheriff's auction? Like, would we do a marshal's auction?
We used it for a
with-
patrol vehicle, and it
Yeah.
said seized vehicle on it.
I got you. Thank you, buddy.
Do we have, we don't have members who participate in drug task forces anymore, though, do we?
Not right now, no, sir.
You plan to do that, implement that in the future?
Yes, that was in the 5-year plan.
Cody?
Thank you, Speaker. Well, for one, I'm really happy to hear about more of patrol. I think that's something we've all kind of been advocating for more of, especially in our rural communities. And I read your 5-year plan, and I think what was great was under workforce expansion and operational readiness, you talked about continuing professional development in training and cultural awareness. That's something I would love to see even across even more departments. I think that's something that is amazing. Can you expand more on what you mean by cultural awareness and training to that aspect?
Okay, so, and here's the thing is that I grew up traditionally, and sometimes people that didn't grow up traditionally kind of feel, I don't want to say, not less than or intimidated, but they feel left out, and so they either skip the stomp dance or skip going to some kind of meetings or going to. I love when Ms. Shop-Pouch speaks. I love it. And am I a speaker? Am I a fluent speaker? No. But is it intimidating to be around someone who has this knowledge? It is. And so what I plan and aim to do is the guys that doesn't have the knowledge, I want to take them, not just the stomp dances, but whether it be to simple as the council meetings, bringing them here, rotating them out. You guys have a meeting this evening. We'll have guys there. Go up to language and have them sit in the class. It's stuff like that. Whether I went to RTR and the first 4 days of it, I learned so much from pre-removal, and that's what we need. That's what to relight a fire of being proud to be Cherokee, and even for my marshals that aren't Cherokee, that they'll have an understanding and a pride to light a fire, to want to do better by the Cherokee people.
Well, I think you're doing a great job, and I'm excited to see what's to come. Thank you,
Well, thank you.
Speaker.
Danny?
Marshall, it's good to see you today. This is kind of a two-part question. I noticed on in your report, you talk about detention,
Yes, sir.
and maybe explain that to us, but in the budget modification, you had quite a large request
Yes.
for detention. So I guess my question is, are we putting more people behind bars, or I just don't know. I'm not understanding where we're coming from by
Right.
looking at this. I don't remember the average we have throughout the year, but I know coming down to the end of the fiscal year, and I was just asking about the detention question there.
Yes. So I can't answer for sentencing because that's the court's part. So, but yeah, we have detention agreements, all 14 counties, and some are outside of the 14 counties. We've got one in Texas. We're constantly looking for places to house. We've got a couple of places that there's one that I'm really excited for, but I can't really go off because it's not a done deal. But there's an IHS facility that's close to this detention center. The ranges that you're looking at, that some correctional facilities, jails charge, X amount of dollars, while this other one charges X amount of dollars. Well, it's because of the different services they offer. Some offer mental health treatment right there, and there's some that don't. We also have the juveniles and the women. They're housed in different areas, and so if one jail or a correctional facility has a juvenile center, some don't. Women, same way. So we're having to bounce all over the state because, sad to say, but we are facing roadblocks from the governor of the state where they will buy beds and just let them sit empty. Like, well, I bought this bed. Well, it's empty. Can this tribe use it? No. Can Cherokee Nation use it? No. I bought the bed. Even it's sitting empty. So those are where we have to fight, is that this jail might have 20 open beds, but it's bought already, and so this other jail knows. So the price might get inflated for it.
Detention services is going to be arrest at the county jails, prison. What else falls under
City
your?
jails, detentions in city jails, county jails, and our long-term. We also though, we have BOP. We have 20 in the Bureau of Prisons. We've got 20 people in our long-term there. That is the government's covering those for, or those 20.
So this budget mod, is this an increase in places that we are compacting with for jails, or are they raising their prices on us?
Like right now, we'll have one once.
And what I'm asking is, we're asking for a budget mod
Yeah.
for quite a bit of money. Where is that money going?
The money's going to go to either jails, treatments, staffing. I mean, it's.
But what I'm asking,
Yes.
it's a large amount of money
Yes.
than we have been paying. Are they
Yes.
charging us more?
Yes.
Or are
Yes.
are we expanding out to other places?
Well, we're expanding. We are expanding out, but we are also getting help from like BIA. We're getting help from BOP. So but what they don't cover, I mean, that big beautiful bill, there's cuts everywhere. So the lack of funding from those outside agencies is going to hit us hard. Yes, but yeah, they are charging more because people see.
So is that counties, mainly counties,
There's
or the prison in Texas? I mean, where are our biggest increases that we're seeing?
We'll be seeing whether it be counties or cities.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we got another year and a half with Texas. So that's the flat rate, unless they go to a hospital down there, or something happens there where it gets bumped up for that month.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we're going to have a rough time with forever until
Yes.
we find an alternative place to put them, whether we can maybe compact with other tribes to build something, or we have our own somehow. We are kind of at the mercy of other people, and that's a difficult position to be in. It really is. And just
Yes,
like
sir.
this, having to have come up with a lot more money because they want more, that's difficult. So maybe in the future, we might be able to look to other tribes and maybe compact with them or something to maybe bring our prices down for everybody. I don't know. It's difficult. I know that is a
Yeah.
lot of money for you. Anybody else? Okay, I'll just, oh, I'm sorry. Dora?
I would, Counselor, Mr. Speaker, just in conclusion, two things. One is on the issue of incarceration. I agree with Mr. Speaker. We're going to be dealing with this for a long time. And one of the things that I would direct our attention back to is we did the Criminal Justice Task Force reform, which Counselor Legg and others were involved in. That assigned an estimated price tag to a future prison. That is a weighty subject in more ways than one, not the least of which is fiscal. That decision's not being made right now, and I'm not here to propose it, but I'm here to sort of remind us all that as we deal with these long-term costs, that study, which will need to be freshened up as time goes on, is important because it did disclose to all of us that this is a huge investment if we were ever to do that. It would shift, though, Mr. Speaker, us away from what you just flagged, which is this continually dealing with other agencies and trying to manage cost. There are no easy answers here, and it's just a question in the future about where we want to invest the Cherokee people's money for incarceration. The second thing I would just say is, again, thank the council for its attention to the report. We shared the report July the 2nd with the council. We've made it available on the website. We'll announce it today so that, again, what I, and not just me, but what we, I think, are committed to doing, including members of this council, is to be in an era in which we're being transparent about sort of the overall law enforcement strategy. So again, the Cherokee people understand in a deeper way what we're doing and what the obligations are, what the challenges are. And this is, I think, the most important of all for me, is to hold myself accountable because we're disclosing what the challenges are and what our aspirations are. And if we are not increasing, for example, more presence of marshals in your communities, I've said publicly that we should. The acting marshal has said it. We've committed it in writing. There ought to be pressure on us. There ought to be pressure on me. There ought to be an expectation that as chief, I'm going to do my best to deliver. It seems to me the best way to do that is to tell everyone, this is what we want to do and what we should do. And if we don't do it, then I should expect to hear from people, including members of this council. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Well, the one thing I will end on for my comments is this. This is a report that is definitely needed. I mean, I've always said that we need to do a better job of communicating with the public in whatever we do, because the Cherokee Nation does a lot of good things for a lot of people, and sometimes we just don't let them know what we're doing, and we should. And I think this is ambitious in ways, and I think in some ways it's not ambitious enough. Because, you know, when you start talking about officer safety, public safety, you start talking about those things, and probably the biggest thing that our marshals, the job that they have is keeping our people safe. And we have to give our marshals the opportunity to be successful. And it may not be the right thing to say, but you know, I hear gold standard. And folks, if we've only got 5 people on a shift, we're not gold standard. And I know we're working toward being gold standard, but you're talking about 14 counties and very little manpower. Very little. It's been that way for a long time. And this does address that in a way, but it also says, you know, we're wanting to increase it by 10. 10's nothing. I mean, if you look at the other tribes, at what they're having and how many marshals they have on patrol, I talk to troopers and sheriff's offices, they just have much more than us. I think we will be the gold standard once we get up to par with enough people to take care of our people. But right now, we don't have it. That's a fact. We haven't had it forever. So I hope in the future that we realize that if we're truly going to be gold standard, we need to give our people the opportunity to be successful, and that we put more people on the street. And if we're really going to be interested in community policing, if we're really going to grasp McGirt and we're going to do this right, that's the biggest thing that we have to do. We have to put more people on the street. That can be seen in the communities. They need to interact. That's just the way it should be. Before McGirt, we didn't have to do that. But now we do everything that a sheriff's office does. That's just the cold, hard facts of it. And the best way to deter crime is patrol, to be seen. That's a fact. So I hope that we're a little more ambitious in the people that we put on the street and what we put on. And I think this council would be 100% for that. So,
Definitely.
Anybody else? Okay, all right, thank you, Marshall.
Thank you for your time.
Up next, from the Office of the Attorney General, Chad Harsha.
Mr. Speaker, members of the council, I have a fairly short report today, but before that, if I may, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to acknowledge several members of AG's office staff that are here today observing council meetings, including 3 summer interns. We've obviously expanded considerably since McGirt, and it's always good to see Cherokee citizens taking an interest in working for the nation and the good work that we do, and proud to work alongside these talented professionals every day. As far as updates, I mentioned last month that we have a lot of litigation going in a lot of different courts, in particular the Matt Ballard case and the Carol Iskey litigation that we have in the Eastern District and the Northern District. I mentioned at our last meeting about 2 weeks ago that the Department of Justice had requested that a stay be put in place in those cases as they evaluate their litigation position. That request for stay was filed. It was unopposed by the nation, and the stay was granted by the federal judge in that case. And right now we're in a process of engaging DOJ and sharing information with them as they continue to evaluate how they want to proceed and their legal positions that they've made in that litigation. We've also had a significant development in the much-anticipated Strobel case. That is, if you recall, that is the case that speaks to the state's taxation authority over member Native Americans who reside on their reservation and earn income from reservation sources. That case has been sitting fully briefed, record closed for well over a year at the Oklahoma Supreme Court. And last week, they finally issued a decision ruling in favor of the Oklahoma Tax Commission and against the individual taxpayer. The Cherokee Nation is not a party to that case, although we did share our thoughts on the litigation as an amicus party. We're evaluating what the next steps are going to be, if there's going to be an appeal filed in the federal courts by the individual plaintiff, and if so, we'll continue to monitor the situation and provide our thoughts on the litigation as it moves to an appellate posture further than the state Supreme Court. We also, there was a pending case in the city of Tulsa versus Marvin Keith Stitt that was recently decided by the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals, and the question in that case relates to whether or not municipal jurisdiction exists over non-member Indians under state law. That case was ruled by the Oklahoma in favor of the state jurisdiction to the exclusion of tribal jurisdiction. And it has been a petition for certiorari has been submitted to the U.S. Supreme Court to take up the matter. No indication yet what the Supreme Court's going to do, but we also weighed our thoughts of the litigation as an amicus party, and will continue to do so as it moves through the U.S. Supreme Court. And we should know fairly soon whether or not the Supreme Court's going to take it up and what our briefing schedule would look like. And I'll report back to this body once that information becomes available. And then lastly, last week marks 5 years since the McGirt decision was handed down by the U.S. Supreme Court. It's a time for celebration. I know we've put together materials at Intertribal Council where this issue was discussed in detail. And you know, I'm always mindful of the extreme growth that we've experienced since then and the work that's been done by a lot of lot of talented folks at the Cherokee Nation to fulfill those obligations and duties, and couldn't be more proud of what the Cherokee Nation's doing today, 5 years later. So, and with that, if there's any questions, I'd love to take them.
Does anybody have any questions for our Attorney General? All right, thank you, sir. All right, next up with FOIA and GRA, Gwen Terrapin.
Good morning. It's good to see all of you today. You should have a copy of my report, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for Gwen? I see none. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, from the Election Commission, Marcus Fears.
Good morning, Council. You have my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have over that. A few brief updates. Early walk-in voting begins this Saturday, July the 19th. It will continue the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Election Day is on July the 26th, and the swearing-in of officials will be on August the 14th. The next time I'm before this body, there will be a few new faces, and I just wanted to extend my appreciation to those of you completing your terms. Thank you for your service, and until next time, that's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions for Marcus? I bet you will be glad here shortly, won't you? Well, you've done a good job, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for your report. All right, from the Tax Commission, Sharon Swepston.
Good morning. You have my report. Just a couple of highlights on motor vehicle. This is looking at May to May last year. We have an increase of 9.8. And then in the revenue and taxation, we have an overall decrease of 6.72. The state started selling the at-large tags the 2nd of June. So we should get our first report tomorrow. So I will be curious to see what that looks like. So hopefully when I report next time, I'll have something to be able to tell you on that, how that's going. I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for Sharon? Mr. Kidwell.
There we go. Hi, ma'am. Thank you for coming in today. Just a quick note, you know, the at-large tags that were all out there, I know the state was kind of behind the 8 ball on getting those tags out to all the state tag agencies. Did you receive any complaints at all from at-large citizens trying to get those? I know as the representative out there, I don't know if Dr. Coates is the same, I received absolutely zero complaints about the rollout from the new compact as it pertains to those at-large citizens across the state. Received absolutely nothing, no complaints at all. I was just wondering if you had received any from your house.
I have not. I look to probably see some complaints as we go forward with the rebate back to them on that percentage, because they have to apply for it, and then we will get that out and everything. But we've had a couple little glitches in that. It's going a little slower than we had hoped, but we are making progress with that to make sure that we get it out. But there's a lot of citizens that are applying that don't qualify, so you may be hearing some complaints from those, because there are certain things. It does have to be at large. They have to be an at-large citizen. They have to live within the state of Oklahoma, outside of the 14 county or the jurisdiction, and in order to get that. So we are having people apply from Alaska, Georgia, and all these other places that didn't buy a tag from us. So
Right.
if you hear those complaints, that may be part of the answers to that. So.
Well, when I get those complaints, I'll definitely steer them in the right direction. But there are about 147,000 of those citizens that meet the requirements to be able to get that tag. So
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be getting a call from a few of those, a small percentage anyway. But
Yes.
I appreciate all the effort that went into that. And if I hear of anything going on at the state level, I'll definitely report that back to you as well.
Please, thank you.
Thank you.
Julia.
When you bring that up, I did get one, not a complaint, but just a query, and I think it may have been in the Phoenix, but there was something that went out that said all at-large citizens and did not specify in Oklahoma. And so
But
I did get something like that from Texas,
It does
too.
specify on the website.
Right,
So,
but there was something else that went
Yeah.
out that, Anyway, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, Sharon. From Self-Governance, Shauna Miles.
Good morning, council.
Good morning.
I think everyone has my brief report before you. If you have any questions, I definitely welcome those. Just a sidebar, one of the things that we're super excited about in self-governance is that we've just finished our 477 report, and that's where we work in conjunction, actually collaborate with several of our departments to make it easier for our citizens to receive service. So we just finished our report, submitted that to the federal agency, so we're excited about that. Any questions you may have, I definitely welcome those as well.
Does anybody have any questions for Shauna? I see none. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Okay, from the Gaming Commission, Audrey Imhoff.
Good morning.
Morning.
You should have my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. A couple of items to note. Our next commission meeting will be July 25th at West Siloam Springs Casino. Last month, I previously mentioned that we were having our staff training July 8th. We did have that. During that training, we went over our Title 31 requirements, and I did want to send out a thank you to HR for providing us with staff training that day. So thank you, Executive Director Hendricks and your team. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions for Audra? Cody?
What time is that meeting on July 25th?
It's at 9:30 in the Koala Ballroom.
All right, thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And last again, but not least, from Human Resources, Samantha Hendricks.
Good morning, council.
Good morning.
Good to see everyone. You have my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I did have a couple of things I just wanted to mention. It's something we've talked about before, that we offer our pre-employment screening, our drug screening, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We originally did it just on Monday, but we extended to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for our citizens who are coming to work for us, and others, of course. The other thing is that we're currently working on an initiative in HR to reduce our paper. We go through a lot of paper in HR. So we're working at trying to reduce that, and by 2026, we should be completely paperless. So we will be able to help our citizens as far as those that are not computer savvy or familiar with our programs, and be able to help them with that. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Sasha?
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for the report, Ms. Hendricks. I see on here that you are still reporting on health services. Will that be going forward, or will the new HR director for health be coming in?
So we work very closely together, and so to keep things from being confusing on the report, those will be continue to be on my report.
Okay. And also, could you share who that person is and contact information that has not, to my knowledge, been distributed to the Tribal Council?
I'll be happy to get that for you. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Could you give that to Gail so she can disseminate
Sure.
to us? Okay.
Happy to.
Anybody else? All right, I see none.
Okay.
Thank you, Samantha.
All right, thank you so much.
Old business, none pending. Under new business, Lisa, would you take that, please?
A resolution authorizing unlimited consent to sue related to the acquisition of property from the Oklahoma Historical Society. I make a motion to move for its approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, Sasha, would you take that, please?
This is a resolution authorizing limited waiver of sovereign immunity for the purpose of a tobacco settlement endowment trust contract with the state of Oklahoma, and I move for its approval.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any announcements? Both items will be on full council tonight. All right, the next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, August 28th at 1 p.m. Need another motion. Motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? We're adjourned.